Hey, what's up, everybody? Chicago Gooner here, bringing another Arsenal talk. Um, Again, apologies for not doing any type of review on the QPR or West Ham game. I'll talk about it a little bit here, but the craziness of this season with Christmas, and of course, if you're over there in England, uh, you have Boxing Day as well. Just didn't have the time really to really put in any type of review. I was gonna mash them together, but um, just didn't really have the time. But in this Arsenal talk, I'll talk a little bit about that, but also going into the upcoming transfer window and throwing some names out there, and hopefully we'll do something. But going on to like the QPR and then the West Ham game a little bit here, just to talk about a little bit. Olivier Giroud, his actions in the QPR game with the brush of the head or the headbutt on Ochoa, I believe his name is, from QPR. I mean, that's just stupid. That's just dumb on the part of Olivier Giroud. I mean, I would expect that from someone who's young, who's not seasoned, but someone like Olivier Giroud, who is a seasoned pro, who knows not to do that type of stuff. Um, Once in a while you see him kind of like do that, or he kind of where two people's heads kind of come in together, but they don't. It's not really headbutt. I mean, that's what it kind of was. Troll kind of made a meal out of it. Like he just got slammed in the head, which was ridiculous. But still, you can't do that type of shit. I mean, that's just dumb, especially in with how Arsenal is right now, with the lack of bodies that we have going into each game. We're short on bodies everywhere, even in the striker department. Even having Danny Welbeck, and I know Sanogo's kind of back. He is back. He's kind of back. Who knows? That guy's in and out of the rotation and lineup just because of his ongoing injury problems, of course. But it's just a bad move on his part. It's not professional. It's something that you can't do, no matter how frustrating a game can be. You just don't put yourself and the team, most importantly, into that type of situation. We were up 1-0. We going down to 10 men. Luckily, throughout the entire game, we were the better side. We had most of the possession. We had most of the chances. Even when we went down to 10 men, we still looked the more dangerous side. Regardless, you have to give it up to the guys. From that point forward, they really busted their ass throughout the entire game. Even when Austin brought it back to 2-1, you never really felt that they were going to nick another goal. To be honest with you, it was just that type of game. We probably could have scored a couple of, because we had a couple more other chances, but I think Alexis Sanchez made a wrong pass, but then he made the right pass to Rosicky to make it 2-0, to really slam it down for us in that game. The West Ham game, of course, too. We came out a little bit flat. We came out like it was a second game in 3 days. But after that PK from Santi, they were relentless. After that, like going into the halftime, I mean, it looked like we could have made it 3-0 going into halftime, and ups to the guys for that game, and the refereeing wasn't all that great again in that game. The commentators in the game were just awful from start to finish. It seemed like they wanted West Ham to win the game, and you know when you're a commentator, when you commentate over a game, when you're the color guy, when you're the play-by-play guy, you know, there needs to be balance in the game. It's not like if you're here in the States, it's not like a hometown commentating crew. They switch off commentators. There's a rotation there in the EPL. At least here in the States, I think we get the Sky and also the BT. NBC gets those those games, and they rotate the commentators every game, but these commentators from start to finish, it was West Ham this, West Ham that, West Ham was doing everything right and Arsenal was doing everything wrong. It was kind of ridiculous to even listen to, and yeah, I mean it was kind of like a bullshit game, but. All in all, I thought we were the better side. I mean, honestly, we had more chances. I mean, I think in the first 20 minutes, West Ham really came out gunslinging like they were trying to win the game. But then after that, we were just too strong for them. We could have nicked a couple more goals if we wanted to, but again, wrong passes. Just great save by Andrian. I mean, that guy was just making save after save, especially in the second half, to keep West Ham in the game. And I wasn't really, especially with Koscielny out there, with Koscielny playing along Mertesacker again. It's something with Mertesacker. When Koscielny's there, he's a lot better than he was this season so far. So that's good to see that Koscielny is back. Thank God, because without him, our defense is weak. Our defense is pathetic, to put it into one word. And with him there, I mean, he's the glue. I think him and Gibbs are basically the glue of that back four. We all thought last year that Mertesacker was the captain, the general of the back four, but as you see when Koscielny was out this season, and you see how lackluster that Mertesacker has been without him, you can't really say that Mertesacker is the glue anymore. You got to say Koscielny is, and honestly, if you put a like-minded on the same talent level as a Koscielny, I mean, our back four can be like a brick wall back there. But all in all, again, we needed that 3 points. That was a huge game. Coming up against Southampton on New Year's Day, that's a huge game because that'll bring us over the top from them. That'll bring us into the top four, and we can start distancing ourselves, hopefully, from the rest of the pack, because we need to start doing that. We need to start winning every single game that we can. We need to start grabbing points from these teams like a Southampton. 3 points would be great again. 3 points against West Ham to distance ourselves from those teams, because other than that, I'm not really worried about a Tottenham or a Liverpool or any of those clubs. But with the style that I guess West Ham and even Southampton play, once they nick a goal, they almost prefer to kind of sit back and kind of like park the bus, and they'll squeeze out that like 1-0 victory or 2-1 victory, to where we're always trying to press and get that second or third goal, to where we open ourselves up to a counterattack, to where they don't do that all the time. And those are scary teams, considering being in that top 4, top 5, top 6, because they can, they're confident enough that they can grind out those victories, and we just don't want to do that. Arsenal has never been really that type of club since Arsene Wenger has been with the club. We've had to do it, obviously. That 12 and 13 season, the second half of the season, that was like grinded out almost every single game. But now with the talent level that we have, with guys maturing, we should be going after goal after goal after goal, and we shouldn't have to be grinding out victories. We've had to do that, of course, this year somewhat. But I think with everybody coming back after the new year, with Ozil coming back, with Theo Walcott, who is by Arsene Wenger standards says he is fully fit and ready to go. Ozil is supposed to be back within the next week or two, which will be great. I still cannot wait to see with Walcott and Sanchez on the wings, Danny Welbeck up top with Ozil and Ramsey feeding those guys the ball. I mean, that's just going to be one of the best attacks in the Premier League, in my opinion. One of the best attacks probably even in Europe, with you given the pace and the skill, and you have guys like Ramsey and Ozil, dealing that final ball to those guys. Even Ramsey running into the box unmarked and grabbing a goal here and there. I mean, it's going to be fun to watch. But going into this transfer window, we know what we lack. We know what we need. It's just that is Arsene Wenger going to go out there and get it? That's the biggest problem. Um, Going into this transfer window, half of me is a hopeful Arsenal fan, just like everybody else is. That's what we have the most is hope, and sometimes that's the most dangerous feeling, quality even to have is hope, because at the end of the day, when that hope doesn't come to fruition, it can disappoint us, and we've had plenty of disappointments in our lives as Arsenal fans over the last 8-9 years, and it's time for that disappointment to turn into happiness or glory or pride. This is what we deserve, to be honest with you, as Arsenal fans going forward. Because, like I said in my previous episodes, there is no more excuses. There is no more excuses that Arsene Wenger can make. Ivan Gazidis, Stan Kroenke. There is no more excuses that they can make from this point forward. The players are out there to be had. Money talks, especially in January. It doesn't matter who you are, what world-class position you play. Money talks. Of course, in January you will be paying a little bit more, to be honest with you. But there's players out there that are to be had, and if you're willing to spend the money, which Arsenal has plenty of, we can go out and get those players to help us for this final stretch run, for these final 19 games in the Premier League. Possibly the next 2 games in the Champions League. Of course, some of the guys that I'll be talking about are pretty much cup tied, that we could go out there and get, but one of them is actually, one of them is a pipe dream in my opinion, but his name has been thrown out there. But and I'll start it out right now. Matt Hummels, his name has been thrown out there. I even heard on Sirius XM today. It's a show called Counterattack, and they were talking about him for a good about 20 minutes today, that his name is being thrown out there because Matt Hummels has come out and basically said that Dortmund is playing like shit, and he's getting sick of the lack of intensity, I guess, that Dortmund players have. And when you come out and say stuff like that, one, you're either trying to motivate your players, or two, you're trying to find an exit as soon as possible. I know during the summer that Matt Hummels and Marco Reus was offered a contract by Dortmund, and they both of them turned down their contracts extensions that they were given by Dortmund. So that's kind of opening the door for Matt Hummels to possibly leave in January. Especially, again, money's going to talk. Dortmund came out and said he's not for sale, but everybody says that. I mean, Arsene Wenger has said that Lucas Podolski isn't for sale, which he should be. Honestly, we should get something from him, either in this transfer window or in the summer transfer window. To be honest with you, because there's just no room for him, and plus his lack of desire when he's on the pitch anyway. If he's not in the final third, trying to score a goal, he's uninterested. He's just not interested. He's not interested in trying to defend at all, unless he's in a German shirt playing for the German national team. That seems like that's the only time he's interested in defending. All because of the fact that Germany has so much talent, has a stockpile of talent that he needs to shell out 100% each and every game and show Jurgen Loh that he deserves to be in the starting 11 or even the bench. And especially with the amount of money that Lucas Podolski is making per week. I believe he's making 107,000 pounds a week for basically sitting the bench. And of course, like I said, he's a great finisher, but that's all he is. He doesn't want to defend. You can blame the Anderlecht draw on him for not closing down the defender like he should have. But that's every single game. But then he goes out there, scores a goal or two, and people are screaming, he should be in the side, he should be in the starting 11, blah, blah, blah. No, he shouldn't be, because he doesn't give the effort like other people do. I mean, Ozil gets so much flack for not tracking back or running around as much as he should, when, last year he basically led the league in his position for, most yardage covered in a game. throughout the entire season. And you can't do that by just standing still and not doing anything or tracking back. Yeah, he doesn't track back, but he shouldn't have to. I mean, that's not his. That shouldn't be his job to track back every single time, especially when he's exhausting so much of his energy on the offensive, the attacking side of the ball. As far as Lucas Podolski goes, it doesn't seem like he exhausts any of his energy whatsoever. So there's a lot of rumors of him going to Inter Milan on loan. That would be great, because if we don't have to pay his fucking salary, good, because that's just extra money that we can spend in January, even possibly on a player that we can use from now until maybe 5-6 years from now. But Matt Hummels is a name that's being thrown out there right now. If you see Dortmund in their current record, it's pretty shocking. It's definitely pretty shocking that they are currently. I think they're currently in the bottom of the Bundesliga right now. They're pretty much close to their relegation zone, and they might be looking to offload somebody. They might be looking to sell someone early in the window so that they can use that money and pick up some extra players possibly, because they've been playing basically without Matt Hummels for most of the season because he's had some quote-unquote injury problems. Whether those are real injury problems or whether he's just sick and tired of how the team is playing, or maybe the lack of motivation that the team has. It's quite possible that he might be on the move. But the team that is supposedly has the most interest and willing to pay the money out is, of course, Manchester United. His name seems to be the front runner for Manchester United for going into the January window. It seems like that Matt Hummels is interested in going to them. It's kind of weird that you go from a Champions League team and you go through a non-Champions League team that has really, of course they're third place currently, but there's still a lot of the season left. There's still half of the season left, of course, in the Premier League, and they're not guaranteed so far to, get into that top four. Right now, it sure seems like they will be, but that's a risk that Matt Hummels might want to take. But of course, the other team that's will be definitely interested in buying his services is definitely Arsenal. Of course, what's the price tag going to be? That's going to be the biggest thing. Is it going to be in the $25 million range? It's going to be the around the like £30 million range. You never know. That's what it's probably going to take to for Dortmund to sell him off in January, especially when they're that low in the standings and they need all the help they can get. But it's probably going to cost around 25 or 30 million. But in the words of Arsene Wenger, if a world-class player is available, they will spend the money. If Matt Hummels is available, go out and get him. Can you imagine him with Koscielny? It would be lockdown. It would be definitely lockdown. He's, of course, Matt Hummels isn't the paciest player in the world, but he's definitely pacier than the Mertesacker. He's even better than Mertesacker defensively, especially this year. Mertesacker is just a completely different person than he was last year. You match him and Koscielny up in that back line. It would be great. It would be crazy. It would be crazy great to see those two pair up and play together. Of course, the one thing that we have going for us, if you're going after a Matt Hummels, is we have a German contingent on Arsenal. We have, Ozil, Mertesacker, Podolski for however long that we're going to keep him. We have Serge Gnabry. We have a couple other kids in the youth system, of course, too. Gideon Zelalem, who is now a U.S. citizen, used to play for the Unders for. He had a couple appearances for the Unders in Germany. Knows how to speak German as well. So it might be looking good for us. But you put a guy like Matt Hummels out on the market like that, teams like, if Barcelona can still buy players, I'm not sure if they can buy players in this January window or not. Of course, I'm sure even a Real Madrid would be interested in a Matt Hummels as well. But right now, it would almost look like that. Manchester United and Arsenal would be kind of like the front runners to get a Matt Hummels, and this is where Arsene Wenger has to put his money where his mouth is. He's a world-class defender. He's a world-class center half. Go out and get him. If he costs $30 million, pay it. If he costs $35 million, pay it, because that'll make our back line even stronger. And yeah, I mean, there's not much else more to say other than that. To keep on the center halves topic, there's a lot of names floating around. It seems like some of the names that are being floated around right now are kind of like second tier, third tier type center halves. It seems like if any of these names are right, that we're interested in, it seems like we want a second or third tier center half, and that Mertesacker and Koscielny are the number ones, with Cullum Chambers being a backup, and then whoever they buy in January, hopefully that will be another backup if Koscielny even goes down again, or if Mertesacker needs a rest, which he definitely needs. He probably won't get a rest for this Southampton game, but honestly, it would be nice. I would almost rather see a Chambers and Koscielny back there instead, and give Mertesacker, because he hasn't had a rest this entire season so far. But another name that's being thrown out there, it was thrown out there in the summertime as well, but nothing came of it. But Winston Reid from West Ham. I didn't know this until I read this article, that Winston Reid's contract expires at the end of the season. I know West Ham has been trying to re-up him and get a new contract extension, get a new contract for him, but so far he has denied all of the contract extensions so far. So West Ham is going to have to either roll the dice and hope to God that he resigns over the summertime, or they're going to have to let him go, and they're going to have to get some type of money for him, rather than just let him go on a free. Because you take a team like Arsenal. I know it sucks because we've let players go out on a free that could help us, or that could have continued to help us, but we let them go out on a free. Basically, like the biggest free in the world was Thierry Henry. Bakary Sagna last year was a free. Lucas Fabianski was a free. The list kind of goes on and on. But if you're a club like Arsenal, we can kind of afford that, to let a player go out on a free and not worry about getting anything back from him, just because of our profitability and the money, the income that is coming in through the club. Where you take a team like West Ham, who they do make money obviously, but they're not a cash cow like an Arsenal or a Manchester United or a Chelsea, to where we can afford to let a guy like a Winston Reid, who is very talented in my opinion, who is a very good center half, to let him just go out on a free. You just don't let that kind of things happen, where you can get possibly 10, maybe even 15 million pounds, especially in January. I know Jabba the Hutt said that he's not for sale, but again, money talks. Yeah, it's in this news article. They said they're going to line up something like a £4 million bid for Winston Reid, which is low. I mean, that's lowballing it right there. Of course, in the article as well, it says if you're willing to line up a £20 million bid for a Winston Reid, then West Ham will be stupid enough not to take it. So it's a very good possibility. But I think if you're trying to go after a Winston Reid, I'm thinking more in the range of 10 and 15 million pounds, which is still a big number when you consider a center half. But again, he has Premier League experience. He's good. He's even good on set pieces. He would be someone that I would love to see come in at Arsenal, because he's still young. He's 26 right now. I think he still has a lot of years going into him. If you consider, center halves, they usually last still, they start losing their prowess, and until they're like 33, 34 almost sometimes. So he still has a lot of years left in him. And again, you line up him with a Koscielny, good things can happen with that type of partnership. Especially you have a guy like that with that much talent sitting on your bench, and even playing as a backup role possibly, and into the future he's going to be in the starting 11. That's someone that you would love to have, to be honest with you. Another name is from Ipswich Town. His name is Tyrone Mings, and then a Celtic Dutch center half, which his name came up during the summertime, late in the window, but nothing really materialized from there. Was a Celtic Dutch center half, Virgil van Dijk. I possibly butchered his name, but his name or those two names are one of the front runners for Arsenal. Another one is Loic Perrin. I don't know. He's a French defender. Supposedly he's rated somewhere around £6 million, which it seems like that's where. Because I think Arsene Wenger has so much confidence in Per Mertesacker and Koscielny that they're looking, like I said, a second or third tier type of defender, somewhere that's somewhere around the range of probably £5 to £10 million possibly, which is probably where they're going to price, or where they're going to try to get their defenders from. But either way, we need a center half regardless. We can't keep on going throughout the rest of the season. If you look at last season, last January window, we needed a striker, we needed possibly another midfielder or another a winger to come in, and we just didn't do anything, and that lost us the league pretty much. With all of our injuries as well, with running players into the ground, by the time end of February, March came, our players were dead, and our players were getting hurt left and right, and that's what lost us the league in the long run, is because we didn't try to strengthen in the January window. Of course, the excuse was that there's no players available in the January window. Well, money talks. If you look at past January windows, players have moved. Yeah, you have to pay a little bit more than what you would in the summer window, but if you want to win the league, if you want to contend in Champions League, you want to win the FA Cup, you got to spend the money. When the money is there, of course, like I said in one of my last episodes, we have somewhere around 42 million to 50 million pounds sitting there collecting dust. We need to spend that money. If we want to make it in the top four, we want to make a little bit of a run here, since we did get Monaco in the round of 16. Who knows what can happen in the Champions League? I'm kind of giving out false hope here, but I'm trying to take the high road here of what could happen if we do spend the money. Of course, if we get a Matt Hummels, he's cup tied. He's not going to be able to play in Champions League, but he can play in the Premier League. Of course, with these other three names, like the Winston Reid, with the Mings and Dijk, they're not cup tied. Just in case if a Koscielny goes down again, or Mertesacker, they can fill right in. Of course, Chambers has already plenty of Champions League experience. I think he played every single game except for the Galatasaray game, I think. So he has Champions League experience. So, the guys that we do bring in, it seems like they're not going to be cup tied, so we'll have that depth that we can rotate the week before, or the game before a Champions League game we can rotate, and then the game after possibly we can rotate. But we need that fourth center half in, because we can't depend on Callum Chambers to be the backup for 5 different positions. It's just bullshit. So we need to bring in another center half, and we need to solidify some squad depth back there, so we can rotate guys in and out, so we don't run them into the ground. But those are the names. Of course, Matt Hummels, like I said, will be cup tied. Of course, what else do we need? A DM. The only name that is coming up so far, I should say two names have been coming up so far, coming up into this January window, and of course, the one name is being left out of New Year's Day game against Southampton is Morgan Schneiderlin. Of course, his name was floating around all throughout the summertime that we were going to get him, and of course, it never materialized, unfortunately. Maybe Southampton gave us the choice between Schneiderlin and Chambers, and of course, we took Chambers. But who knows? Maybe Southampton is looking to sell Morgan Schneiderlin, because Morgan Schneiderlin, if it's true, has come out in the last couple weeks and says he wants to leave. And it seems like, of course, the Spurs and, of course, us are kind of like the leading contenders right now. Honestly, if I was him, looking at our rotation, looking at our guys of who's there and who's not there, why wouldn't you choose Arsenal? And on top of it, he can play in Champions League. He won't be cup tied. The other name I'm going to mention is cup tied. But, Morgan Schneiderlin is being left out of the team when Arsenal plays Southampton. That's kind of a red flag there, saying that there's a very good possibility that Arsenal might be buying Morgan Schneiderlin. Of course, Southampton is going to wait, obviously. Of course, the window opens up on the 1st, and of course they're not going to sell him that day, and then of course he's going to be throwing on an Arsenal shirt for that game. It's just going to be like Juan Mata last year. Chelsea waited until after they played Manchester United to sell Mata to Manchester United, so that Chelsea wouldn't have to face him during the year again. Which is smart, and of course I think that's what Southampton might be doing as well, is just waiting until that game on Thursday to possibly sell him off. And it would be great to get him sooner rather than later. If there's already a deal in place, if there's already talks between each team that they're willing to sell the player off. Of course, in the summertime, they were talking about somewhere around 15 to 18 million for Morgan Schneiderlin. I would imagine if they were going to buy him, it's going to be somewhere around 20 million. Just because of the fact that he's been having a great season so far for Southampton. When he's in the side, Southampton has been doing wonders. When Morgan Schneiderlin is not in the side, it seems like they get broken down a lot easier. So you can see the talent level that Morgan Schneiderlin has, and honestly, he's a perfect fit for Arsenal. I talked about a little bit in the summertime how much of a perfect fit he is for Arsenal, because he knows his role. He knows that he shouldn't push forward as much as he should. He's a good passer. He's good on the ball. He has a good touch to him. He's kind of like a younger version of Mikel Arteta, to be honest with you, as far as his passing skills go. So he would be a perfect fit for Arsenal, in my opinion. Of course, he's French. There's plenty of French players, French manager. There's plenty of positives for him to come to Arsenal. So hopefully that deal is almost already in place, because it's kind of odd when you leave a player like that. I mean, Yohan Cabaye was the same deal. He left himself out of the team for Newcastle last year because he thought there was a deal on the table for him to go to Arsenal last summer. But then that never materialized, and of course he stayed at Newcastle and then later got transferred to PSG. So hopefully that there's signs there that a possible transfer of Morgan Schneiderlin to Arsenal is real. That would be great. I mean, that would solidify that position. And of course, you get a guy like that in that position. That already makes us better. That already makes us 10 times better, because he knows his role. I mean, he's probably one of the most underrated DMs. He's probably in the top 3 DMs in the Premier League, in my opinion. And that's the type of guy that you want to go after. To be honest with you, if he is available, get him. Why not? Because sooner or later, Southampton is going to, especially if we beat them on New Year's Day, they're going to start coming back down to earth. But of course, I'm sure they're still thinking, maybe we can get Europa League, and maybe we can, still get into that 5th and 6th spot and get, European football on, Thursday nights at least for Southampton. That would be good for them. I think they probably deserve it, considering of where they came from. from going through basically almost every division of English football to get up to the Premier League, and now solidifying themselves in the Premier League. And the fact of what they've been doing this whole season has been pretty remarkable. But if they're willing to let a Morgan Schneiderlin go, let's grab him. The other name, of course, like I said, who is cup tied, is William Carvalhal. Of course, his name was floating around all the way up into the last seconds of the window in the summertime, and his name is coming out again. Whether it's a recycled story or not, who knows? It probably is a recycled story because, again, this is what the media does. When they don't have any names to really go by, they start recycling names. They see, okay, Arsenal needs a DM, they need a center half. Okay, who are they going after? Who are the names in the summertime? So we're going to start recycling names in the media. And of course, William Carvalhal's name is in the media again, saying that Arsenal is interested and that we're willing to put a £20 million bid for him in the wintertime, in the January window. Could it possibly be that Arsenal had a deal in place for a William Carvalhal in the summertime with Sporting Lisbon, and they made some type of deals with Sporting Lisbon saying, hey, you can keep him throughout the Champions League in the first half of the season, but then when January hits, you got to give him to us. But again, on the flip side, that doesn't make too much sense, since we need a DM, and we need to get him into the side and get him used to the Premier League and get him used to Arsenal style football. But again, he's, like I said in the summertime, he is like a younger version of Yaya Toure, the Yaya Toure that used to be the DM, not the Yaya Toure you see now, to where he's more attacking. He's a big body, he has a physical presence. He's just a great defender, and on top of that, he can play multiple positions. He's versatile. And that's the type of player that Arsene Wenger loves, and that's why I couldn't get that, why he didn't buy him in the summer window, because he could have been the backup center half and the DM, and have him rotate in between. And of course, we could have used him this year already because of all of our injury woes during the first half of the season. But again, he's a name that's going to be out there. He's going to be, unless we get a Morgan Schneiderlin, then you can just wipe his name right off the books because we won't be going after anybody else then. But the only thing that's bad about him is that he is cup tied. He won't be able to play in Champions League, unfortunately. Because I know Sporting Lisbon, I believe they're going into the Europa League. I could be wrong on that, but I think they did finish third in their group stage over the Champions League, so they would be in the Europa League. So, but given Sporting Lisbon's financial woes, 20 million, 25 million pounds, I mean, that would look great for them, especially to sell someone like that off. I mean, the profit on William Carvalhal is probably like 1,000% of whoever's going to buy him up, especially for that amount. I read some reports, especially back in the summertime, that a lot of the Sporting Lisbon board were saying yes to Arsenal, and the other half was saying no. And when they said no to him, when they said no to Arsenal, that a lot of the board was pissed off because they could have really used that extra money, that 25 million pounds that they offered for him. Of course, his buyout clause is 35 million euros, which equates to something around like 28 or 29 million pounds. So again, that's another name. It seems like Morgan Schneiderlin and William Carvalhal's name is the ones that are really leading the pack right now. Of course, there's always Sami Khedira as well. His name will probably be floating around as well, just because I'm sure Real Madrid is going to sell him off to anybody who's willing to pay probably at least like 8 or 10 million pounds for him, because he's going on a free, and a lot of reports are saying that he's going to leave and he's going to go straight to Bayern Munich. Well, if Real Madrid knows that, if Real Madrid can't re-sign Sami Khedira, there's a good possibility we can get him for so cheap that whatever he wants as far as contract goes, if he wants 150,000 pounds a week, then we can kind of pay that because we're getting a player who's probably worth more in the 20 to 22 million pound range for like half that cost. Because I'm sure Real Madrid will not want to let that guy go, even though they can afford it. They won't want a talent like that to go out on a free. But I'm sure his name will be floating around, obviously. But as far as what I would like to see is either a Morgan Schneiderlin or a William Carvalho come into the side in the January window. And those are some of the names that are leading the pack. I heard a rumor as well. I read a couple articles that says that Arsenal is interested in El Shaarawy from AC Milan. Winger. I don't understand that one. I don't get that one. I don't see how we need him because we have plenty of winners to go around. I mean, Sanchez is staying healthy. Ox is playing great. Walcott's coming back. Of course, we have the one guy who can't even seem to get a game, who has a ton of talent, in Joel Campbell. Of course, again, we still have Lucas Podolski there, but Santi Cazorla will be pushed back to the wing, obviously, once Walcott comes back and once Ozil comes back into his number 10 role. And of course, he might even get pushed back even further if Ramsey can't stay healthy because Jack's not due back until March. But those are some of the names that are being thrown out there. We need to spend. We need to spend, obviously. Even if we go out there and spend 30 million pounds, I would be happy with that. We can't roll the dice. We can't. Arsene Wenger can't take the approach of saying, well, all of our guys are coming back. We don't need to spend. We do need to spend. If you don't see them spend this January window, there's no ambition in the club. They don't care, especially with Arsene Wenger. And if he doesn't spend in this window and we finish fourth again, or if we finish outside of the top four, good luck. Good luck to that dude, because everybody will want him out then. There won't be a single excuse that he can make anymore, because the money is there. He knows we need to spend. He knows that we need to strengthen because he fucked up last year. He fucked up in last year's January window. He can't fuck up again, because the more he fucks up, the more the spotlight's on him. The more the hashtag Wenger out you'll see time and time again. And there's only so much a club can take. There's only so much bad publicity a club can take from its own fans until something needs to be done. And he needs to go out and strengthen. I don't care if he gets a third-tier center half. I don't care if he gets a center half who may potentially just sit on the bench for the second half of the season. As long as he gets someone in, even someone on loan for the rest of the half of the season, because we need the depth. I don't care if we get someone on loan that sits there for the rest of the season, as long as there's someone there that we can depend on if someone gets hurt, because we can't guarantee anybody will not get hurt this season. We can't guarantee that. We can never guarantee that being Arsenal Football Club, because everybody gets hurt, it seems like. And Arteta's supposed to be due back, but who knows? I mean, can you really depend on him anymore? No, because he's getting old. And Arsene Wenger's, for some odd reason, he thinks that Flamini and Arteta are, like they're 22, 23 years old. When Arteta is, 33 now? Flamini's 30. They're on the wrong side of 30. Instead of Arsene Wenger using his old philosophy of when you get to that age of 30 years old, you should be looked down upon, or you shouldn't be offered any more contracts. I mean, he didn't even do that with Bakary Sagna. Of course, he couldn't really match what Man City was offering him, but you let a guy like that walk. But again, you offer new paper, and you're still having a guy like Mikel Arteta as your starting DM, a Flamini as your starting DM. You just can't have that, because like I said in past episodes, would Arteta or Flamini be starting for Chelsea, Man City, even Manchester United, a Bayern Munich, a Barcelona, a Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid? Name any of the top clubs in the world. Would they be starting for them? And the answer is no. There's not one top club that any of those two guys would be starting at. But they're starting for us for some reason. And we need to just slam this down. We need to get this out of the way so we can start looking forward and start spending our money on more like luxuries, if you want to say that. To where if we get a Morgan Schneiderlin or a William Carvalho, that in the next transfer window we can maybe start going after some younger guys, or we can start upgrading maybe a right back position. We can start upgrading. We can spend more money, or we can put all of our resources into a world class striker, or putting all of our resources into another world class center half, because that's what we need to start doing. We need to start getting world class players, or potentially world class players, because that's what William Carvalho is to me, is a potential world class player in the future. Maybe not next year, maybe not the year after that, but in like 3-4 years, he could be one of the better DMs in the world. And that's what we need. That's what we need to bring in guys like that. That is just right on the edge of being a world class player at their position. And once we solidify that in our starting 11, in our bench, in our team, we can start going after luxuries. We can start spending, if we only have, say, 75 million pounds to spend during the summer, we could say, okay, let's set aside 50 million of that, and let's go after a world-class striker who's going to score us 30 goals a season. We can get another, maybe another center half. We can get a world-class center half that's going to cost us 30 million pounds, possibly even 35 million pounds, that we don't have to worry about. Keep on, because we're behind the eight ball of trying to pick up the pace now of trying to get world-class players at just about every single position, and trying to compete with the Real Madrids or the Barcelonas and Bayern Munichs of the world, because we have to start doing that. If we want to win the league consistently, if we want to be contenders and be, one of the top four left teams in the Champions League, we got to start acting like that. We got to start having those type of players in our side week after week, year after year, to the point that we can spend more luxuries on even the youth side and start building that up even more. Because we've been building that up for the last like 3 or 4 years. Now it's time to buy actual players, players with experience, players who are world class. We started doing that with Ozil and Sanchez, and of course we have some players that could potentially be world class players. If given the time, of course, if they stay healthy. One being Aaron Ramsey, of course, but we need to start spending that money and getting those players in, so we can start buying luxuries, so we don't have to juggle our money around, saying, okay, 15 million for that player, 20 million for that player, another 10 for that player. So we can go after, and we can only buy maybe like 2 or 3 players every summer, instead of buying 5, 6, 7 players every summer, and be the shit show that Liverpool is right now, or even Tottenham was last year, even Tottenham is just in general. I mean, Tottenham's a shit show every single day, but we don't want to end up like that. We brought in a lot of different players this summer, and sometimes it showed. With Chambers and Debuchy, and even though they have Premier League experience, you're still introducing them to a new team, a new style of play, obviously, and we don't want to keep on doing that. We want to bring in a max of maybe 2 or 3 players, 2 or 3 great players each and every window. At least the summer window, instead of bringing in 5, 6, 7 players, because all that says is we don't have enough depth, and we need to start having depth at every single position. And we just don't have it, especially defensively right now. So hopefully they go out and spend, a center half, possibly even a right back on loan, and of course a DM. That's what we need. Those should be the priorities. Even going into the summertime, if we don't buy those type of players, we need those type of players. That should be the priority going into next summer. So that's it for like a little bit of a transfer review. Of course, if anything happens once the window opens up, and there's any new names that are coming out, and I'll try to talk about that a little bit. But this one came out a little bit too long, and I'll just end it now. And hopefully everybody had a good Christmas, good Boxing Day, good holidays. Hopefully everybody has a good New Year. Everybody be safe. Don't drink too much. And if you do drink, make sure you drink responsibly, and just have a good time. There's no shame in not getting shit faced. On New Year's. You want to wake up the next day. You don't want to wake up in heaven the next day. Well, I don't know. Maybe that won't be so bad, but yeah, everybody have a good New Year's, and I'll talk to you next year. Later.